Hey, it's Andrew, and yes, I got the PlayStation 5 Pro. This console has been the source of a lot of controversy. People were seemingly incredibly upset that this console cost $700. And Sony revealed it with a press conference where they showed off footage with this versus the previous PS5. People weren't seeing the difference between the screenshots, so I decided I was gonna figure it out. I got a regular PS5 about a month and a half ago, played on it for like 3 weeks, and then when this came out, picked this up. Now I've been playing games on this guy for 2 to 3 weeks, and I've got some thoughts. Is it worth it? I do have an opinion, obviously, and I have some theories about what this means for the console world, so stick around for that, but let's talk PS5 Pro. The PlayStation 5 Pro has 3 main things / features that make it a standout upgrade over the previous PlayStation 5 console. And as we go through the features and the value of the features, I do want to be specific about the price. This system is $200 more than the standard PlayStation 5 with a disk drive included. And it is worth noting right off the bat that the PS5 Pro does not come with a disk drive. Sony does offer one that you can purchase separately and install on this guy, and I kind of prefer that. I think the last physical game that I purchased was Breath of the Wild at the midnight launch for the Switch back in 2017. I just find it much more convenient to go digital, and I prefer to save a little bit of money by not having a disk drive. I understand that some people really like their physical copies, and I'm a big fan of that, so I think it's a great thing that Sony is still offering disk drives, but they are a separate purchase and you can install them on your own. It means that everybody else doesn't have to buy them. At $400, Sony offers a regular PlayStation 5 with no disk drive. So this guy, no disk drive, $300 more. Are these features, these 3 features on the PS5 Pro, are they more or less valuable than $300? The 3 additions are: 1, a bigger SSD; 2, it's a bigger GPU and enables more graphics power, more cores, ray tracing, cool stuff like that; and 3 is this special Sony developed AI upscaling system. It's called Sony Super Spectral Resolution. Is that it? No, it's called PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution, or PSSR for short. There's also a feature called PS5 Pro Game Boost, and we're gonna lump that in with the PSSR. It's basically just a performance boost to the backlog of PlayStation 4 games that are playable via backwards compatibility, upscales the resolution, pumps that up, and pushes up the frame rates, making old games just play better. Let's talk about that first big feature though, because it is a simple one, but it's a big one. It's 2 terabytes of internal NVMe space, and it is awesome. Games are getting massive nowadays, and if you want to have multiple games on whatever system you're running, kind of need to get an expansion drive. And it is worth noting that a PlayStation 5 2 terabyte expansion drive runs about $150 to $170, which closes that price gap of value of $200 to $300 pretty quickly. 2 terabytes just gives you a ton of headroom to use in your gaming system. You never really want to max out your drive because then you start getting performance issues. So at 2 terabytes, I can install multiple games, and I'm sitting around 1.7 terabytes filled on my drive, and I still got room and performance. And the fact of the matter is, once I have 1.7 terabytes of games on my drive, probably not playing all of them, and I can delete a couple if I need to play something new. I think 2 terabytes is actually a really great sweet spot if you're a gamer who installs tons of games. If you're a gamer who does not, and you just have one game that's always installed, the 1 terabyte model really works perfectly, so this value doesn't mean much to you. But especially considering it's a digital-only console, a nice big drive is plenty valuable. I personally, though, am always storing a ton of different games because I like playing different games with different people in different places. And that does lead me into the sponsor of this video, Nisso. Nisso sent me out their 4K projector a couple weeks ago, and it was awesome, really, because it was a perfect opportunity for me and my girlfriend to set up a little bit of a game display / TV show display in the bedroom on our blank wall. I had never actually used a projector on my own before, so I was really nervous that it was going to be kind of tedious and having an off axis would be problematic, but I was kind of blown away by how easy it was to set up. The projector itself has all kinds of automatic focus modes and shape setting modes. I personally enjoyed just using manual control though. I was able to adjust the zoom of the display, bring in the corners even though the projector was off axis, and adjust focus really easily. The projector also supports AirPlay and smartphone casting through Android. Me and my girlfriend though, we plugged in an Apple TV so we can watch YouTube and TV shows and such, and then we also plugged in this PlayStation 5 Pro. On occasion, me and her love to play games together, and we're finally playing It Takes Two, and getting this projector and the PS5 Pro was a perfect opportunity to do that. I had a couple awesome bookshelf speakers sitting in the corner. We plugged those into the projector as well, and now we have a home cinema setup in the bedroom, and it was so easy to set up, and you don't have to do a giant TV mount or buy a giant piece of hardware in order to have it. Nisso also set me up with a discount code that I could give to you guys. Not available right now, but in the next few days going into Black Friday, it will be, and it'll be in the description. When that code is active, expensive. It'll drop the projector down to about $68. So if you guys have never tried a projector before and you got a blank wall lying around, I highly recommend giving it a go. Thank you so much to Nisso for sending me this projector. Back to the video. The second big addition to the PlayStation 5 Pro is the upgraded GPU. It is bigger and beefier, and you get some improvements because of that. As of now, I'm not seeing it commonly result in more graphics. In some games it does. Alan Wake 2 developers opted to make their game continue to run at 30 frames per second for some reason without another option, but they just took every graphical core in the system and went crazy on ray tracing and lighting effects. It looks mind-blowing, especially for a console. Most games have opted to just provide a pro mode that combines the fidelity mode and performance mode originally offered on the PlayStation 5s. This means games like Demon's Souls, you end up getting 4K resolution, high fidelity graphics, and a smooth 60 frames per second. And this is where the PlayStation 5 Pro shines. While the original PlayStation 5 consoles generally forced you to make a decision on compromising one part of your experience, the PlayStation 5 Pro focuses on just not making you have any compromises. It combines these modes and gives you just the best experience that a console could right now. High quality graphics and super solid frame rates are just the best thing you can really ask for. And it's what you could want from any system that you'd use. This also extends to games that I play a lot, like Call of Duty Black Ops 6. You can keep your 120 Hz mode, and you can add a little bit more fidelity and graphical flair on top of that. And ray tracing also becomes way more readily available. PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X launched saying that they could do ray tracing. That was the big buzzword. I've done ray tracing in games on PC and really pushed my frames and resolution with that, because you could do that on PC, but consoles generally meant if ray tracing was on, it was going to be 30 FPS and performance was not going to be good at all. And in action games like Spider-Man or even The Last of Us, generally ended up opting for a performance mode because the gameplay kind of forced you to need a little bit of smoothness in order to operate well. On the PlayStation 5 Pro though, there's plenty of games that are doing ray tracing now and running at 60 FPS. And all of this is maintaining that high fidelity mode and providing those frames alongside of it, outside of games like Alan Wake 2, I guess. And this is all massively helped out by that third big addition to the PlayStation 5 Pro, which is the PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution. It's worth noting that all of the awesome features in the PlayStation 5 Pro have to be added by developers who want to take advantage of the more powerful modes that this system offers. PSSR, though, is maybe the best upgrade to the PlayStation 5 Pro because it doesn't really need permission from the developers to work and make the games better. I play on a 4K 32-inch display most of the time. It's this one, and I used to do a lot of PC gaming on it, and I would run at a native 4K because my PC was kind of beefy. When I got the original PlayStation 5, it talked frequently about 4K gaming, and whenever I played 4K gaming on here, it never felt like a real 4K. It was always kind of muddy or kind of hazy, and the visuals were just kind of not crisp. And this was because there was a ton of different stuff going on and upscaling and visual settings that were trying to compensate for the fact that the system could not handle native 4K gaming at the frame rates it's supposed to pump out. And so that meant upscaling in different ways and all this kind of stuff. PSSR does an actual solid good job of upscaling to 4K though, and it works really well with all of the other additions and features. It's able to make sure that Demon's Souls is running at 4K in high fidelity mode, while that graphics card works even harder in order to provide the texture streaming and the high FPS that it's still maintaining. And this is the best case scenario for the PS5 Pro when you have PSSR and the GPU working in tandem. The upscaling is fantastic, and it provides so much more clarity than you were getting previously in 4K. I really felt this in Black Ops 6 the most, I think. When that game launched and I was playing on the launch PlayStation 5, it just was not crisp. The visibility of other players was pretty bad, and the game at times just did not look very sharp. Once I moved to the PlayStation 5 Pro, the clarity and visibility of that game was instantly better, and it made it a lot easier to deal with. Frankly, super happy that the system came out before ranks dropped, because man, I don't know how I could handle the old visibility looking down the street on it's good. I like it. PSSR is just a great feature because it's always pushing your games to look better and have more clarity. The name is kind of dumb, but the feature is awesome. PSSR and the PS5 Pro Game Boost mode that I mentioned earlier, like I said, it's mostly for PS4 games, and it just upscales them, better resolution, more frames. If you still play PS4 games, this is awesome. If you don't play PS4 games, it doesn't really matter, but if you ever go back to play a PS4 game you missed, it'll be a great feature. Now, all kinds of different PlayStation 5 games and development studios that that have those games are working on different modes and PlayStation 5 Pro modes in order to help their games do better, look better, however the developers want them to operate on a PlayStation 5 Pro. So new games are being added frequently now. And it's also kind of nice to know that you have a little bit of future proofing with the better GPU and other features in here. Grand Theft Auto 6, for instance, that game is exclusively coming to consoles at launch, and that game is going to be chunky. And because of the fact that Microsoft doesn't seem to be updating hardware at all, PlayStation 5 Pro is going to be the best place to play it. And I imagine there are plenty of games that are going to be coming out here super soon that take advantage of the PlayStation 5 Pro's extra computational power in order to do awesome things. What does the new Sucker Punch Ghost game look like on the PlayStation 5 Pro? I imagine the first-party studios at Sony are going to run with Pro features way harder than the third-party studios. There's a lot of awesome future potential for the power that's in this thing. And so that finally brings me back to the original question. Is it worth it? Is the PlayStation 5 Pro worth $700 US? And I would say yes. I can't see how it isn't. The extra storage is worth $100 or $200. The extra improved GPU cores are definitely worth some money. The PSSR features are 100% worth some extra money. I think just value-wise, it's worth maybe more than $200 to $300 on top of the original PlayStation 5. And to be honest, $700 for a console that's running current challenging games at 4K and stable frame rates is a solid deal. There are PCs that are trying to do the same thing that push way past $700 in their price. Now, is the PS5 Pro worth upgrading to if you already have a PS5? Probably not. If you already have a PS5 and you're happy with the experience, then there's probably not a reason to get the PS5 Pro. If you don't have a PS5 though, then the PS5 Pro is a really awesome gadget to look at as an entry point into the PlayStation 5 current ecosystem. This does set an interesting precedent though. The last couple previous console generations, more or less, amongst other things, were decided by what console was cheaper. The winner of those generations was generally the console that was cheaper at launch. You could argue many things, but that's what I'm going with. The PlayStation 6 has to be what, 3 years out? That will have been 7 years of this console generation, and that's normally the length of a generation. The PlayStation 6 has to be better than the PlayStation 5 Pro, but the PS5 Pro is $700, and it's not a price-hiked piece of plastic. This is a $700 piece of tech. So how are they gonna make a $500-ish PlayStation 6 that outperforms the PlayStation 5 Pro that was released 3 years earlier? Because even if you look at the wholesale price of parts they're using to make these consoles, this tech gets expensive very, very quickly. Do they just release a more powerful console at $500 and take even more losses, as most console manufacturers are? We're at a weird place in the console world right now where I feel like video game consoles and gaming PCs are starting to converge a little bit. Gaming improvements in the technology side of things really just require more expensive parts now, push more frames and more fidelity. Most console gamers don't really care about pushing further though. They prefer to play games and have fun. And of course they want a good looking game that performs well, but that's kind of the standard now. That's not hard to do. They want fun hardware and fun games. And it seems like most hardcore gamers at this point have made the jump to PC because PC gaming and gaming parts and PCs are much more accessible than they ever used to be. So where does that leave the future of consoles? Casual gamers make up most of the industry's spending power. They're the majority of people spending hundreds of dollars on systems and games, and I don't think that they want to spend $1,000 on the next console. I'm gonna release a video next week where I really go a little bit of a deep dive into the subject and the shifting winds of the gaming industry in this sense. So if you want to see that, make sure to subscribe. That'll be up next week. I just happen to have a theory on what's gonna kill gaming consoles. Either way, thank you so much for watching. All of my socials are in the description. Leave a comment if you want to chat about anything said in this video, or if you don't want to chat, maybe consider dropping your favorite emoji. Helps with the engagement of the video. If you would like to become a member of the channel, I'm going to start uploading member-only videos here. They're going to be more or less director commentaries of previous videos I've made, talking about the ideas, the editing process, the production, just kind of going deep into the creative aspects of making videos that I've made. So if you want to learn more about my creative process and how you make YouTube videos, make sure to become a member of this channel. And thank you to D. Sanchez for being a member of this YouTube channel. And hey, thank you so much for watching. Peace.